Hello everyone, it's Roxanne Grinage. I'm a legal assistant, marketing careers project manager for Higher Lyrics Administrative Services, and our also doing business as name, our demonstrator for 2.5, 3 years now, an administrative solution for measuring individual accountability and gathering the claims data, similarly situated due diligence reporting to innovate the reform of U.S. economy, education, judicial accountability, prison, and public safety. We call that Administrative Solutions Tool the U.S. Citizens Controlled Public Docket Database. Today I want to further my series of teaching segment videos, teaching about how the reform movement, the internet technologies have provided opportunities like never before for collaborating, sharing learning, gleaning community courage from shared learning as the internet technologies now make our communities global. We learn that we are more alike than we are different, and to focus on the similarities and not the differences. So our Higher Lyrics was started 13 years ago to provide a way to responsibly refer into all industries that would industry buyers that would expose would purchase the creative work product contribution, the U.S. economy enriching careers contributions of the disadvantaged creator of work contribution, disadvantaged for receiving the education that they needed, and then the exposure of the work product, or bringing it fairly into markets where industry buyers would see the superior or inferior quality of their work, to create a fair and holistic marketplace synergy where both industry buyers' rights were protected and the creator, the owner of the work product contribution, would have a fair say in the influence, dissemination, and who benefited, fair recognition, fair compensation from the work product contribution. And our invention of business method was to say simply provide standard access to that front desk legal assistant, that legal secretary, who the disadvantaged creator having some type of claim of, it started out just intellectual property infringement. The internet technologies enabled pirated downloads without compensation across on the other side of the world, or parts of the idea taken, the jewelry design, the lyrics, or using a freestyle battle competition or a rapping competition, or showed up on somebody else's album, or the authentic artist did sign with a label, that label went out of business and was cannibalized by another label without honoring the rights of the estate of the original artist. So I saw fit to use my 26 years experience working as an executive legal assistant, a human resources assistant for a vice president of a huge a global staffing firm, seeing them build information technology, CDI engineering, CDI information technology, seeing the bringing on of the different executives, the experts in the various three-dimensional technologies. I worked at Honeywell Information System way back in the dinosaur days when the specs were going in, technical input person for the the terrain heat-seeking missile. That was new technology back then, required a top secret security clearance. So I just took, I was also at NYNEX when they were talking about the cellular telephone. And so just in me being able to be exposed to typing in the capacity of a legal secretary, many deposition summaries, medical summaries, appeals briefs, and so on, I was well aware that no one should practice or do anything that they're not credentialed to do. So certainly a legal secretary is not a lawyer. So we don't practice law. That means we don't sign for anyone. We don't represent anybody in any court or claims process. However, we are the paralegal now who utilizes the internet technologies, can literally set up a virtual all neighbors welcome community meeting place where you can say standard access. Come through the front door of this office. You can encounter me, the front desk secretary, and no, I'm not going to tell you what the merits of your claims are, but credentialed people, authorized people, law enforcement, other attorneys, unity of purpose law firms, people, experts in various areas, psychiatry, medicine, engineering, bioengineering. Someone keeps calling me. All right, let me finish this with you. It's an amazing time to be alive. And even though we started out trying to guard and protect rights of ownership by simply documenting the presentation of the creator, their claim, and their right to their work product contribution, it grew into receiving and hearing claims that were multi-level, multi-dimensional. So if somebody is coming and saying, yeah, I had some songs ripped off, some lyrics ripped off, but I haven't worked anywhere for 2 years, and when we talk to them a little further, we find out that they may have a workers' compensation claim or a Social Security disability claim or something that is appropriately referred to people authorized or federal agencies authorized to do something about it. So with the CPS corruption, Children's Protective Services, being a federally funded resource for protecting children, trickled down funnel to the various states agencies for dispensation of the federal funding to preserve families. When we saw the claims coming in, higher lyrics, that front desk legal secretary, as she's pulling the information on her forms, she sees and hears that a particular employee dropped the ball. Maybe it was through negligence. Maybe it was through a lack of training. But we find out what the position description is supposed to be. That's for corrections officers, contractors, prison contractors. We find out what was your job description supposed to be. What are those funding guidelines, the policies and procedures that you're supposed to be adhering to in order to dispense this money, this federal and taxpayer funding appropriately. And when we see the individual accountability for who was negligent or who would deliberately funnel that money away from the preservation of the family, away from the care of the prisoner or the inmate, or away from the safekeeping and housing of the inmate, and so on, or that retaliation was received because the inmate was working on an appeal or got the help of a writ writer, or that torturous things like diesel therapy are being done to inmates that are working on appeals. You know, like diesel therapy is where an inmate is taken around, a prisoner is taken around the country for 6 months to almost a year, already beat up, having injuries, on a bus, not entered into the system as has his location, inmate locator having changed, and his family does not know where he is or she is, and when they pull into a prison somewhere, he's placed in the SHU, the special housing unit, which is the hole, which has horrendous living conditions that are infectious, black mold, disease, poison, tainted water, and other acts of retaliation on the food and ingestion, including deliberately giving counter-indicated prescription drugs that will react with each other and cause stroke, heart attack, and death. The reason why I say after all of that is this is an amazing time to be alive. I wouldn't choose to live any other time, because when you're positioned at the front desk of any office, and now the internet technologies enable you to be virtually positioned, you say, all neighbors welcome, come. Let's share. We have a slogan. Sharing learning results in community courage and increased quality of life. Higher Lyric shares our learning. So when you share your learning, you also have to share your mistakes. And then when it's done at a community level, everyone is elevated, everyone learns, and courage is the byproduct of that synergy, that fair marketplace synergy. Let the superior work product contribution rise on its own to be revealed. And yes, thought is a work product. Development of thought, case history, evolution, witness testimony, case studies. How did it get from this point to this point? Many industries are involved. Environmental protection is very important. Education is very important. We must be able to have a fair and accurate gauge of what is available to utilize and pull from for societal preservation, for environmental protection, preservation of our environment, continued evolution of our society, our autonomy, our being able to compete as a nation on a global market. So we must be able to have a fair and holistic entry of everyone's work product contribution to enter into a marketplace white heat hot competition, I call it, marketplace hot synergy, a marketplace competitive synergy where industry buyers, once they buy the work, they actually own the work. But they don't own the work by having thrown a few dollars at someone and owning their self-respect and their dignity. So that's why higher lyrics, at the pinnacle of higher lyrics practice model, is fair recognition, fair compensation. Okay, and we refer. Here's the in our little practice model. Here's where people presentation of claims and creator contribution is on this side. And if you envision a portal style entity, this is a slice of the portal. On this side is the appropriate referral. The arrows point to what standard service, standard access to standard services, regardless of who you know or what you have, whether or not you have the right names to drop, whether or not you know someone, whether or not your parents have means, it doesn't matter anymore. Bring the facts and evidence so that the legal secretary or the secretary sitting at that desk can push the forms to you to gather those components of information that apply to your claims that you may not even think to mention. That you need a holistic career assessment, that you are as resourceful as you are, that you reinvented yourself several times when you were young and perhaps on public assistance and stretching macaroni and cheese while going to school to feed 4 kids, right, to get your degree, right? You've invented yourself several times. You are more resourceful than you realize, and you have attributes, and in addition to skills that should be communicated to recruiters of all appropriate industries that would hire, that are transferable. You have transferable skills and attributes that we would never learn about had we not done a holistic assessment of the presenting claimant. The claimant is a holder of untapped claims as well as untapped work product. There are literally billions of dollars are locked in this unlimited, spanning every demographic population of disadvantaged creators for which higher lyrics administrative services is born to serve. So I'm just going to read this. Higher lyrics was born to serve the previously unseen, unaccommodated worldwide population of disadvantaged creators. Marketing, careers, label, and stores. Higher Lyrics is a standard access mechanism practicing marketing, careers, label, and store services that cause fair entry into competitive processes that achieve fair recognition, fair compensation, and raise quality of life for the previously unseen and unaccommodated worldwide population of disadvantaged creators and the families, communities, technologies, industries, regions, and generations impacted by our contributions of resourceful life experience and original creative work products. The answer to missed educational opportunities, oppressive contracts and unaccountability horror stories, racism, poverty, and hate-based ideas festering into terrorism is the responsible development of entities that standardize access, standardize procedures, and standardize services. Respectfully, Roxanne Grinage.